Hey guys, welcome to the money section. So welcome to the money section. This is the introduction. Of course, all of you know that this may be one of the main reasons that you guys got this course. I spent the last 20 years of my life investing in myself, learning about money, understanding how to become wealthy, and I've made it a priority of mine to learn everything I can about becoming wealthy, building wealth, earning money, managing money, and what it takes to become a multimillionaire. Essentially, the big goal for many people might be to be a billionaire. We would all love this idea of becoming a billionaire, having unlimited funds, unlimited wealth, being somebody who's important. But ultimately, what does money represent? Money is just a reflection of the value that you've created in the marketplace. And so, if you look around at people who have become billionaires, they've built massive empires, great businesses. They've created products and services and things that impact millions and millions of lives. And so the reality is most people, when they desire money, they don't know what it actually takes to become somebody who is a billionaire. A billionaire may have come into money because they created something and they created a business of extreme value and generated this wealth. But what many people don't look at when they think about becoming super wealthy is what it actually means, because money has such a strong charge. There's a lot of really, really bad rich people, and there's a lot of really, really bad stereotypes that come with the super rich, such as they're greedy and mean and whatever it is, right? Like Scrooge McDuck and The Christmas Story. You think of all these things where, it's always the rich guy that's portrayed as this evil, grumpy, negative person. And, so there's stereotypes that have been propagated over time. And some of them are true, but a lot of them are misleading, because when you look at money, money is a man-made system. The system of money that we use, specifically in America, it's the U.S. financial system, right? Now, this is an introductory video, so I'm just going to say, we're going to keep it really high level. The reality is money impacts your life in many ways. If you don't have money, that's all you can think about, because it's directly related to your ability to survive. And on a higher level, you notice people that have money and they lack fulfillment, they lack purpose. And so, this is a cautionary tale in a sense, going into understanding how to achieve your highest financial IQ, your highest level of financial success. The majority of that experience is going to hinge upon becoming the best possible version of yourself. You're going to be somebody who can solve challenges. You're going to be somebody who understands, the value of money. And ultimately, the first thing that you want to think about is the fact that we are renting our life, right? Think about it like this. The way that I think about it is I'm renting life from God, okay? I didn't create the financial system that's here. I was born into it. We're born into the matrix. We're born into the system. And so, it's not necessarily bad, but you certainly can't become super wealthy and you can't reach your potential if you don't understand a lot of these core concepts about what the system is and how it works. And yeah, for the average person, they just have old money beliefs and money habits that they have not conquered. And even if you have done some of that work, you may not be at the level that you want to be. But ultimately, money is just essentially an idea. It's an idea of marketplace value exchange. And so, when you're going into this course, there's a lot of core concepts that I'm going to walk through here that took me many years to learn. A lot of it you learn through experience. And I guarantee you 100% that there will at least be one or two things at the very least. If you're somebody who already knows everything, you've done it all, you've seen it all. It's my wish that there's at least one or two really key nuggets in here that you didn't know that change the way that you think about money and change the way that you achieve your financial results. So, first of all, on a high level, money is just money. It's not real. This is a really core concept that I'm going to talk about. So the first thing to understand is that money is not real. The thing that's going to stop you or prevent you or also enable you to achieve your goals regarding money, your financial success, is a lot of it is going to be a reflection of you and how you think and what you think about money. And so when we talk about those stereotypes from earlier, right, these stereotypes that have been propagated, when somebody looks at a rich person and thinks all these negative stereotypes and all these negative things, I can guarantee you that somebody that embodies those beliefs or truly believes those things or has those limiting beliefs are going to struggle with money. And they most likely are broke or struggling with money. And so, look, the reality is that money exists and money obtains its value through scarcity. This is the number one thing. So this is going to be intro, but I'm going to give you guys a lot of really core concepts here. Of course, the value of money, the value is derived from scarcity, right? Because there's a lot more lack of money than there is money. And the way that this is done in the modern financial system is through debt. The caveat here is that debt is actually money. So we live in a financial system where debt is money. And so the irony is when you have cash, that cash represents debt in the financial system. That's as far as I'm going to scratch on the surface of that. But for this video, because we're going to go really deep into this subject. I'm going to take you deeper on this subject than you've probably been in a very long time. And I'm going to give you guys some recommended reading as well. Books that have been instrumental to my success and also some things that you can think about. But this is a key aspect to understand, is that scarcity is what gives money its value, right? There's the whole story of I think it was the Weimar Republic in Germany, right, where they inflated the currency by printing a bunch of fake notes and dumping them off of planes or something of that sort. We see this situation playing out in Venezuela currently in present time, where a currency becomes debased so much that there's so much of it, it no longer has value. So, it would literally take a wheelbarrow full of banknotes to buy a loaf of bread. This is obviously, this is a perfect example of how money doesn't work without scarcity. So understand that if you feel like you don't have enough money, it's a good sign, because you're generating an awareness of the fact that this is an area of life that you need to fix, that you need to work on, that you need to learn about. And so you're doing the right thing, because even if you got money and you don't know what you're about to learn in this course, chances are you're not going to keep it. You're not going to do the right things with it. A lot of people end up ruining their lives. They come into money, don't know what to do with it. And so, I'm going to give you guys a framework throughout this section of the course on how to understand money, how to understand the money game, what to do with it, how to find your niche as an investor, how to essentially how to treat money, how to work with money, how to think about money. And all of these things are going to transform your experience of life when it comes to money, because, we all want to live in abundance. I would say that everyone wants to be rich, but the majority of people, there's a lot of people that might hear that and say, I don't need to be rich. There's a subset of thinking where people think, I don't need that much money. I don't need to be rich. I don't care about money, on and on and on and on, right? Bad beliefs and bad programming is about money. And those people are most certainly struggling and always do struggle with money, because, they have a negative energy of resentment towards money, towards the idea of money. For some reason, it's an internal block that needs to be cleared. So when we talk about money as a physical essence, you've heard people say maybe money is energy. So yes, money is energy. It represents energy. It represents buying power. It represents your ability to transact in the marketplace. And so this is just a topic that I've really come to understand through various experiences, through becoming an entrepreneur, through trying to figure out what the hell is going on in this world. And, the introduction to money is basically that. We're going to look at what it is, where your beliefs came from about it, how it works, what you can do with it, what you should do with it, what most people do with it, and how you can actually master it. Because would you agree that if you're taking on a subject, whatever it is, whatever you're studying, whatever you want to master, the intention of becoming a master or the intention of mastery of some discipline or some aspect of life requires an in-depth understanding of it. I think, that's pretty indisputable, right? Like if you don't understand something, it's hard to win at it. So there's many layers of money and the money game and investing and the global financial system and all these things that play into your success that directly impacts your survival. And, look, the reality is I've been there. I've had struggles in my life. I've been very lucky. I've been very fortunate. I've helped a lot of people. I've gotten help. There's times when I had no money. And so I am somebody who's I've been working since I was 14 years old. I got my first job when I was 14 years old. And of course, I didn't learn very good discipline from that, but I learned how to make money. So of course, making money is very important. If you're going to have money and do something with money, you have to make it, earn it, right? I've talked about that before. You can't really make it. You have to earn it. Only the U.S. Mint can make the money. But, when it comes to our life and how money impacts our life, our enjoyment, our experience of life, it's just, it's essentially like I call you take a dollar bill, I call it it's fun coupon. It's a fun coupon. They're fun coupons. They're just, it gives you the ability to be free to do what you want in life, to move through reality, to have the experiences, to invest in yourself, to, do the things that you want, acquire the resources that you need. And, the whole irony behind all this, of course, is still this idea that, the money, at least in the modern financial system, is fake. It is debt. It's issued by and backed by a government, as a means of exchange. And the only thing that it's really backed by is mountains and mountains of debt. So I think that's the first lesson. So start to de-pedestalize money from that standpoint and understand that there are trillions of dollars floating around in the ether around you in every which direction. And the more that you cultivate your intention and your belief and your understanding, you develop a container that is able to receive abundance and receive money and utilize it properly and treat it properly. These are all things that are going to help you in your mastery of money. So I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this with you. This is, this is many, many, many years of experience and knowledge cultivated over many, many years that I'm giving you guys here. I believe this is going to be extremely valuable to you no matter where you're at, whether you're already a millionaire, whether you desire to be a millionaire, whether you're close, whether you're broke, whether you're a multimillionaire. I believe this information can be valuable and help you get to the next level, whichever level that is. And the bulk of this is going to be geared towards maybe somebody who's on their path to becoming a millionaire, not yet a millionaire, or a millionaire on their path to becoming a multimillionaire. So this is money, the introduction, money mindset. So before we get into all of those things that I discussed, I need you guys to understand that just like all of the things that we talked about in other modules in this program, a lot of your transformation is going to occur at your level of awareness. It's going to occur at your level of beliefs and thoughts and your pre-existing programs. So when we're talking about money, there's a lot of programs that we acquire throughout our life, throughout childhood, throughout trauma, throughout our experience of life and our perception, right? And I will say that there is a global perception around money that is pushed around scarcity, because like I said, in order for money to have value, It has to have scarcity, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be scarce for you. That just means that in the world of money, it has to have scarcity, it has to be scarce. So the reality is, yes, the system would not work without rich people at the top and poor people at the bottom. It just simply wouldn't work. I mean, you guys all know about the eye on top of the pyramid, right? Well, in theory, it represents divine providence, which I believe that, through divine providence, you can gain access to all the knowledge and information you need. But just to understand that the system, the financial system, it doesn't work without this hierarchy, without this, the 1% of the 1%, being at the very top of this equation. Because in order for that to work, yes, the bottom 50% of all money, actually the bottom 50% of all society, has about 10% of the money. And this is how the system is designed. This is how it works. And in order for you to be successful in this course, I'm going to tell you some things like this that are a little bit shocking. It might upset you. It might make you really angry. You might feel resentful towards it. But this is going to be the first step to actually breaking out of the matrix programming around money, breaking out of the poor mindset, breaking out of the indoctrination that's been pushed on you through the financial system, through the public school system, and so forth. So, when it comes to your mindset, you have to understand that in order for money to work, scarcity exists. That means a lot of people are going to struggle. A lot of people are struggling financially, and that's okay because it's a result of programming. It's not their fault. And if you're in that situation, I'm going to tell you the same thing. It's not entirely your fault, but it is your responsibility to get yourself out of this bottom half once you have the awareness, right? Once you start to learn and gain the awareness, there's no reason or there's no way that you can just get stuck in this system unless you fail to take the proper actions. So when it comes to mindset, understand, even if you know a lot about the subject already, I want you to suspend it. I want you to give up the idea that you already know what I'm going to tell you and just absorb the content. Look at your own level of consciousness and start to audit your consciousness on these concepts so that you can break through the old paradigms that are keeping you stuck or that are preventing you from reaching the next level and just kind of confront it. I want you to be here with these concepts, these ideas, and confront it because it's going to make a massive difference for you if you can accept what I'm going to tell you. Now, of course, when we talk about the top 1% of the top 1%, I don't know the exact number. You can Google it, but it's somewhere around the $100 million range as far as the net worth is concerned, right? The top 1% of the top 1% net worth in America is about $100 million. So, in the grand scheme of things, when you're talking to billionaires, you're talking about billionaires, multi-billionaires, and things like that, $100 million is kind of the baseline. To be ultra wealthy, to be an ultra high net worth individual, you're basically looking at achieving this $100 million range. Now, on that journey, of course, the old rich was simply being a millionaire. Of course, now today, millionaire is basically middle class. So if you're not a millionaire, you're barely hanging on to the middle class. But, there is hope because the system is designed for anybody to become extremely wealthy. Sure, the wealth, money does favor the already wealthy. They have a lot more opportunities in a sense, but they have just as many challenges, right? They have to be able to place and invest that money. They have to be able to produce a return on that money. There's a lot of things that the wealthy have different sets of problems than the average person. So as far as the mindset is concerned, I want you to give up any notions that you have about wealthy people, rich people. Give up these negative ideas. And if you can sit with it for a while and look at what are the negative ideas and thoughts that you have about money and about rich people, I want you to write them down So start writing them down. All the bad ideas and bad thoughts that you have about money. You can never be rich. There's never enough. The rich people are greedy, so on and so forth. I want you to write all of those down because they're going to be very relevant to you when you start to audit your own consciousness around money. Because what we're going to do here is we're going to break down your limiting consciousness around money, and we're going to educate you on how to actually become wealthy. And the education and the transformation is going to occur at the level of consciousness, because this is where the big transformation is going to take place. You cannot bring in a lot of money without the proper wealth consciousness. And if you do, it's not going to last long. It's not going to be sustainable. And so this is the whole point of what I'm telling you here when it comes to your mindset is giving up a bad mindset about money and adopting an abundance mindset. And what that means is essentially understanding that there is nearly an infinite amount of wealth. Of course, it's finite, but from the standpoint of how much money you truly need to be wealthy, it's practically infinite, right? Because you can live very well on, say, if you get to a $5 million net worth. You don't necessarily have to be ultra wealthy. You can be still quite wealthy and achieve a very nice level of wealth without having to become ultra wealthy. So, but what this comes down to is giving up your preconceived ideas, suspending your pre-existing knowledge, being willing to learn, and then being willing to confront yourself on your beliefs. And this is how you're going to access the abundance mindset. And if you already have an abundance mindset, there's always going to be little things that you can break down that are somehow stifling your abundance. There's always another level. No matter where you're at, there's always another level. So our goal here is to break down that programming, help you establish a new mindset around money, and then give you the tools and the knowledge and understanding to basically achieve a higher level of financial success. And, this is basically where we're at. So I want you guys to strap in, be prepared, really think about and do the work, write down the ideas, the bad programs, the bad thoughts, the things you're struggling with about money, and write down your questions, because I guarantee at a certain point in time it's going to be answered. And if you write it down, you're going to be thinking about it consciously as you're listening actively. And this is going to help you to get the breakthroughs that you need, because ultimately, when it comes to your mindset about money, just like anything else, if you believe you can, it's possible. If you believe you can't, it's not possible. So this applies to money. If you believe you can be a multimillionaire, if you believe you can be a billionaire, then it's possible. But if you don't, it is not possible. And let's say for somebody who doesn't believe it's possible and somehow makes it happen, they still don't believe it's possible. What's going to happen is that their financial blueprint, their thermostat's going to kick in. It's going to bring them back down to the level where they started. So you hear a lot about people who win the lottery who don't have a wealth consciousness. They end up, blowing the money, being stupid or reckless with it, or, you hear about these stories all the time, right? It's almost common. So I want you guys to start looking at, take money from a neutral standpoint. Okay. We want to reestablish some neutrality, because a lot of people think about money and they have a lot of energy and kind of like either positive or negative. Like the positive side is going to be like greed and covetousness, right? Like these things that's, are biblically a sin, right? And the negative side being that, the victim mentality, scarcity, and all that. So we want you to establish some neutrality here around money, around the subject, and understand that no matter what you learn, no matter what I tell you here, it is that, I want you to accept it in a way that's going to give you the ability to really break through whatever level you're at and get to the next level.